What's going on? Hi, Instagrammies. What is up? So look, I just read this or listened to a podcast that says that when you start a live video, hey Keith, oh my God, talk about Johnny on the freaking spot. Hey, Straight Talk with Chris, you guys are my rock stars today. Thank you so much for helping me. But anyway, I was just saying that I watched a podcast or listened to a podcast last night, me and Dalton, and it was my second time hearing it. And one of the things that she shared was that you shouldn't, when you go live, you shouldn't wait for people to join. Like, you should just get to the business at hand. And so I was going to do that, but it feels somewhat like weird because then it's like you're not talking to anybody and then you want to upload your video and it looks crazy. Hey, Keith. Hey, Bree. Is this my Breedy Weedy Boo Boo Boo? Bree, I loved your your water bottle with the little fresh flowers sitting in it to brighten up your day as you drove your car. I'm all about some gratitude and like encouraging myself. So I'm so proud of you for that. I thought that was so precious. So you guys want to say hey to Dalton? He doesn't want to be on camera today. He still has bed head. Do you want to wave? He's waving off camera like this. No. So let's see. What do I want to share with you guys? Well, I do know what I want to share, but in this moment. Stacy, what's going on? Household 6 Caterer, thanks for joining. So the catalyst, or the genesis for this, I should say, do you like that word? The genesis for today's discussion is ask me anything. Stacy said, I need coffee. Stacy, so do I. Hold on a moment. I can't laugh. I almost laughed and drank my coffee at the same time. Here you are, Stacy. Dalton, Stacy needs coffee. Stacy, can you hear me? Said, he's sleepy. Keith said, what's up, Dalton? Be proud of the bedhead. Embrace your inner bedhead. Stacy's like this. Oh my God. So what had happened, guys, the reason that we're doing Ask Me Anything today, and you guys are so funny to me, is that Dalton and I were brainstorming yesterday and having our company meeting. We're a company of 2. Having our company meeting, and we were just talking about just some things that we want to have coming up in all seriousness this year. As it relates to doing more content development, more of our own content development. So, you guys know that we have a multimedia company where we do documentaries, docuseries, and reality TV scripting, unscripted reality TV. But Dalton is actually working on his next short feature, short film. And for me, I want to start putting out more video content because I want to connect with you guys and with my audience. But one thing Dalton said, he was like, you're just always so serious. Like, people want to get to know you. And he was like, I don't feel like people don't know you, but just on social media, you're Dr. Carter. And he was like, I just think people, it would be really cool if you just let people, see the whole part of you. I don't want to say the other side, because if you've been around me in person, you know that how I am here is how I am outside of here. T_Terrell_69, thank you so much for joining. And so I just wanted to do an Ask Me Anything so you guys could kind of get to know all of me and not just Dr. Carter mode, life coaching mode, coach training, all that stuff. And I just wanted to be fun. But the reason that you guys cracked me up and made me laugh is because I posted this on Facebook to get some feedback in terms of questions and, just encourage people to come and meet us over here on Instagram. And Keith, that's here on Keith's Creative Images, his IG handle, he asked me like this serious question, like right off the bat. And that's one of the things that makes me laugh. And Coach Christina Saunders, shout out to her. She's here, my sis and fellow coach in the Vineyard. They asked me these serious questions, and it's funny because I am actually super serious. I'm uber serious, even though I'm silly and I have I feel funny and awesome sense of humor. I tend to be really serious, especially when it comes to things of God and coaching. And so when they ask me those serious questions, I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought we were keeping it lighthearted today. So what I'm going to do is kind of do a mix of both, because they asked me some very deep questions, some very thought-provoking questions, and I want to address those, but I also want to give you guys the opportunity to ask me anything. You can ask me anything about myself. You can ask me anything about business, what have you, but mainly I wanted to keep it light. So Terrell, T_Terrell asked, how did you get started as a life coach? And so definitely that's one of the questions that I was going to address, but I'm going to give you guys kind of some Fun facts first. So, T. Terrell, I hope that you're willing to hang out. And please know that I will ask that. Household 6, Stacey says you're so silly and joyous. I really am. So, I want people to see that, but not to the extent that you don't take me serious, because this ain't no game, okay? No, just kidding. Just kidding. So, I want to share with you guys also that I'm super... I can be very anal about things. So I made a vision board for today's discussion, like in the last 15 minutes. So here it is. And it might look backwards, but there's a post on my Insta stories you can check out and see it. That was the Insta boomerang. Did you get it? Did you catch that? No. So this was my Ask Me Anything vision board, because I wanted to write the questions out so I wouldn't try to go back and forth. Okay, so why so serious? That was the first question. Dalton was like, you're so serious. Well, I'm very serious all the time, because Stacey, thank you. She says, you know, we all love you and your family. We love you too, but I am serious because I just, when you know, the first half of my life was just a lot of relational issues, a lot of low self-esteem, low confidence, self-sabotaging behaviors. It's all in my book, Superb Woman from Bad Girl to God's Girl. You can grab a copy on my website, drpatricecarter.com. And I just shared that I just experienced so much emotional trauma at my own hands. So that finally, when God got me together, Amanda, thanks for joining. So happy to see you. And I haven't forgotten about our visit, Tips for a Diva. So when God finally got me together, it's like I just took everything so seriously in my life, and it just became about rocking out to the glory of God and doing all that he called me to do. And so I just got to be really serious. So now Dalton is like, okay, you can bring it back to the middle. God knows that you're serious and you're sincere in your pursuit. So sometimes it's hard to shift that. Stacey says, I got mine, you better get yours. And Amanda says, amen. So I want to share with you guys one of my most embarrassing moments. Now, Keith asked for one of the most embarrassing moments with me and Dalton dating, but I want to share with you one of my most he said you don't want to know that one. Now I asked this sucker if he wanted to be on camera, and now he wants to be the behind the voice, you know, behind the curtain. Ignore the man behind the curtain, people. But my most embarrassing moment as an individual happened when I was a teenager. And so some of you may know, if you know me personally, you know that I have a twin sister. Shout out to Pastor Garlinda Price. Do you want to come on? Let people see your face with your cute self. It's not about me. Okay, well, stop being distracting. Okay, I can't. So my sister's name is Garlinda Price. She's here on Instagram too, under Garlinda P920. And so Garlinda and I were shopping with my mom. Shout out to Pat Stewart. Love her. She's going to be 79 years young this coming Sunday. I love her so much. Tony, thanks for joining, Coach Tony. So mommy was taking me and Garlinda shopping to this awesome place here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, the center of the universe. In case you didn't know, check it. Called Cheap Jeans. And so we were so excited about going to Cheap Jeans because Pierre Cardin was the bomb back then. Gloria Vanderbilt. I can't remember the other jeans, but Pierre Cardin. And if you didn't have those, you just weren't down. So please, Jordache, thank you. Jordache jeans was popping back then. So if you didn't have those, you just weren't doing it. Okay, so we had to have one of each, or at least two of those. So mommy was taking us to Cheap Jeans because you could go to Cheap Jeans and get the hookup. Do you guys remember that? Jordache, Pierre Cardin, Gloria Vanderbilt. So give me a thumbs up if you remember that, or high fives. So we go in Cheap Jeans, the three of us, girls' day out. And so Amanda said, I had Jordache, I had those, cool. So we go in there, we get our jeans. I have like tons of jeans, I'm ready. Amanda says, yes, girl. And I go into the fitting room. Tony knows what I'm talking about. And my sister and I went into the fitting room, T. Terrell, cool, side by side. So I go in, you know, one side, she goes on the other side. And Big Guy Journey, thanks so much for joining. What's up? Welcome to Ask Me Anything, Dr. Patrice Carter. And so I'm trying on my jeans. I come out. She's trying on her jeans. So when we walk out, I don't look up. I just know that she was there when I walked in. She was standing where she was when I came back out. And I slapped her on the butt hard. And I said, those jeans sure make your butt look flat. I said, those jeans make your butt look flat. And when I looked up, it wasn't her. It was a white woman that had come out from her fitting room. While I was in my fitting room, I wanted to die. Okay, so when I looked up and it wasn't my sister, I literally ran back in the fitting room. When I tell y'all, I didn't come out for like 30 minutes. promise you, it had to be 30 minutes. The woman had paid for her stuff and left. And my sister, of course, she was laughing, always laughing at me. And it was always, that has been my life story, that I always put my foot in my mouth. To this day, I'm 50, it doesn't stop. I'm like, Jesus, please help me, take the whole wheel. I wanted to die that day. I'm telling you guys, I literally, if the earth could have opened up and sucked me up, I would have gone. I would have been like, take me now. So Amanda said, bless you, girl. Big Guy Journey, she's going to me to you. And Keith's Creative. I'm telling you guys, it was side splitting. I hid I'm telling you, my mom had to come into the fitting room and get me. I would not come out. I don't even know if I got the jeans. I don't even remember. I blacked out. Chris says you needed time. And Stacy said Avengers movie. Okay, I don't get the context, but let me know. So the woman and my mom talked, and she was totally like not upset or whatever. And she was like, she thought it was funny. And I hope she did not buy those jeans because I was telling the truth. And Pastor Chris, Straight Talk with Chris said, girl, that's funny. Girl Speak, thank you so much for joining. So that was my most embarrassing moment. So the next thing I thought about sharing with you is my inner critic. Does anybody else have an inner critic? So if you have an inner critic, that's that voice inside your head that's always criticizing you. Stacy said, tell my hubby about the movie. Oh my God. So guys, Stacy, quick story. Stacy went to see the Avengers movie all out of order without her husband, who was a total fan, and did not tell him. She and her son snuck away. And when I was in the presence of she and her husband, I mentioned it because I thought he was there. And he said, what? Wait, what? What? He's like, you saw the Avengers movie without me, so I outed her by mistake. Stacy, I completely forgot about that, but I see you haven't. Okay, petty much? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, Straight Talk with Chris says, I do. Girl Speak says, hello, Dr. P. So Stacy, that was hilarious. I forgot about that. It doesn't stop, guys. I'm sorry. So, okay, so everybody that says they have an inner critic. So my inner critic, first of all, she's dead because I'm constantly stabbing that chick. But her name is Madge, and she's an older white woman, and she smokes. She has a smoker's voice. Because she just, you know how you ever hear like those old operators from back in the day, this is Madge 212, can I help you? Where you used to have to dial the operator, ask for a call. Hey, Carlinda, thank you so much for joining. So she has a smoker's voice, and she's always saying rude things to me. Madge, it's not a game, okay? So I'm constantly having to beat Madge down. Madge, I beat old people. It's not a problem. So you have to know, hey, boo. So you have to know that you have an inner critic and recognize when she's speaking, he's speaking, or it is speaking, because it's not the voice of God, and shut it down. Okay, Dalton gave me the look. Dalton looked at me like, don't start ministering. Okay, it's in me, guys. Oh my God, I can't help it. Keep it moving. Okay, so Straight Talk with Chris said, I can't with you today. I'm telling you, Chris, you can't make this stuff up. Tips for a Diva said, girl, do they have comedian Christians? Because I would have a front row seat. I don't think I would be as funny on stage with a mic if I were trying to be funny, but I do think I'm hilarious. Thank you for the affirmation. Tony, I'm hollering too. Yeah, my son Miles used to try to play me, y'all. When we got married, I was 40 when Dalton and I got married, and he was a single dad. So shout out to my sweetheart, Dalton Carter. My oh, my oh, my oh, my oh. Come over here so I can sing to you. My boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. He's ignoring me. So tips for a Diva, she said, I do too. I need it today. Cool. And so Miles was 10. He used to try to play me and act like I wasn't funny. And so he would not laugh at my jokes. He does now. He's like, oh God. He shakes his head and he laughs. I'm like, sucker, you know mama is funny, okay? So anyway, inner critic, Madge, checker, check him. Like Martin, remember guys, he was like, your job is to check codes. Okay? Madge, your job is to shut up. Stacy said, your son is wonderful. He is. I love him. He's a sweetheart. So shout out to Miles, who's here on Instagram under something Black Flu. I don't understand that. He changed it. Thank God. He's DJ Miles. I'm glad he changed it, because that other one, in handle, I wasn't understanding that as a mom. I had mom questions all day. Okay, so the next one is, let's see, tips for a Diva. She said, all full of the spirit today. I know this is off subject. How's your healing process going with your skin? Oh my gosh, God has completely healed me. Christmas Day, I went running by myself. I hadn't been able to exercise. So guys, short story, was really sick the last 4 months of the year. Oh my gosh, didn't know when it was going to end. God healed me. Thank you so much for all of your prayers and support and just loving me through that. But Christmas Day, I went out to go running. And when I stepped foot on the track, the sun came over the horizon and God says, your healing has come. So I'm walking my healing out. Dalton is still shaking his head. He's like, stop preaching. That's why I had to make that's why I had to make this vision board so I could stay on track. Okay, my happiest memory. One of my happiest memories. I have so many happy memories because I cried so many tears. Yay, God, yay, yay, yay. Yes, I'm glad to hear too. Thank you guys so much for that. I have amazing memories. But let's see, what is one of my happiest memories? Gosh, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint because there's so many. But I'll just tell you this. I don't want to pick one in particular. I just want to tell you that I'm a person who is extremely grateful. I have so much gratitude. Even though I do have days where I get down, and I woke up this morning and was trying to have a little pity party. I'm like, we're not doing that today. That's just not happening. But I'm grateful. So I'll come literally with my cup of coffee and I'll sit by the window, and then one day I'll broadcast over there so you guys can see by the window, and it looks out on the deck. And we have a tree line, a wood line that goes behind our house. And I just drink my coffee and I thank God. I thank God for the coffee. I thank God for the opportunity to be in a home and to have a warm, safe place to live and to wake up. And I'm grateful for holy yoga in the morning with my sweetie puff, with him making me coffee and coffee talk. So I'm just grateful. So when I say a happiest memory, I probably do have a happiest memory, but like Amanda just shared, I've started writing in a journal for my gratefulness. I have a gratitude journal, and I just have so many memories and so many moments. So every day to me is a gift, and I try to remember that and treat it as such. So I have multiple happy moments throughout the day. This is a great moment for me just to come and hang out with you guys. This makes me, I don't even want to say happy, it's joyous, because joy is so much better than happiness. Happiness is a fleeting emotion. It takes wings from one minute to the next. But joy is eternal, okay? So Keith asked me the best birthday present I ever received. I don't want to tell you about the best present I ever received. I want to tell you about the worst Christmas present I ever received. So Dalton and I, one Christmas, Stacy says, I have a grateful journal too. It has definitely helped. It does. It really, really does. So we can talk about that on a call, on a live one day. But anyway, Dalton, it was one Christmas that he gave me a couple of gifts. And I don't remember what the other gift was because the one gift that I hated was so prominent in my mind. But what had happened was Dalton was an IT person. And so he has this amazing computer bag where it keeps his computer protected, because he's got like a big Mac, like a MacBook Pro. Well, I have a MacBook Air, which is the thinner version of that, and I'm really hard on stuff, so I need something that can handle getting dropped and banged around and what have you. But he was always saying to me, you need to have a computer bag. I need you to have a computer bag, because I would just basically put it in my case and put it in my purse. So he got me, which I didn't want a computer bag. I said, I don't want a computer bag, so don't get me one. He gets me a computer bag, but it's a diaper bag. he said it wasn't a diaper bag, but I promise you, when I opened the packaging and pulled out the red puffy bag, all it was missing was a picture of the baby rattle on the front and a bib. I was like, the devil is a liar. I was so mad. And I was mad because it was a horrible bag. And then I was mad because I didn't want a computer bag. And now you're trying to force me to get a computer bag, which takes me to my next. Valerie Crystal, thank you so much for joining, which takes me to my next thing I want to share. One thing I cannot stand is when somebody tries to manage me. So that is like a personal pet peeve, when people try to manage me or make me do something I don't want to do. I will tell you in a minute, I do not need management. I may need management, but I don't need management. Okay. So I had to repent to Dalton for being such a jerk about that baby bag, but that baby bag had to go. It got sent back. Okay? And we've since gotten much better about Christmas presents, going back to the gratitude journal. But yeah, just a reminder, if you're in my life, I don't need management. Okay, just saying. Okay, so how can you, so another thing I want to share, the bag was red. That's your favorite color, Keith, I know. So you probably would have liked it. Maybe we should have held on to it, but we weren't friends yet. I could have re-gifted it to you. But I think another question I want to share something else about me is I'm very transparent. Could you make a little more noise? Dalton's rapping something in the corner.
It's not about me. Keep
it's
it
like,
moving.
what in the world? I can't. I'm working over here. I'm working. Okay? I'm being me. Okay? So, anyway, back to this. I share a lot. And so anybody that knows me or that's heard me speak, I share everything. Like Dalton said to me one day, he was like, you'll say anything. And then he didn't mean it in a rude way. He's like, you'll just tell everything. And so people say, well, how can you be so transparent? And I know a lot of times it does sound like he's wrapping a gift, Stacey. He is wrapping gifts. He's wrapping perks from the Indiegogo campaign that we just wrapped up, where we're launching our mobile coffee trailer. So that's our third business venture. So we'll talk about that in a minute. It's some coffee, but I don't think your name is on one of those bags, Stacey. But it can be for $12 and a cash app to $HJNC. You too can have a bag of coffee. But anyway, how can I be so transparent? So I want people to understand how to own their story. So one thing is, when I'm a suicide survivor, so a lot of you probably know that. And the day that God stopped me from killing myself, he said to me, from this day forward, you will be a person of truth. Big Mike, thanks for joining. And Big Mike, the one, he said, I'm the only one. So God said to me that day, when I was getting up out of the bathtub with the gun, that from this day forward, you will be a person of truth. You will always tell the truth. It doesn't matter how awkward it is, how uncomfortable, or what have you. That's going to be who you are, and that's who I am. So it's not easy when you first start out being transparent, being vulnerable, being open. Like, this is awkward in a sense. Even though I'm laughing and having fun, I'm used to being in business mode. I'm used to being in ministry mode. So yeah, so you just have to start one step at a time, just sharing your story, sharing your truth, being open. And as that guilt, the fear, or the oh my God, I can't believe I just said that comes up, just let it come up and wash over you. Don't internalize it and don't analyze it. And then you just do that one baby step at a time until it just becomes easy. So Keith says, your transparency is refreshing and liberating for others as well. Oh, to God be the glory. Thanks, buddy. Okay, so let's talk about Keith's serious question, and then I'll answer the other question that the person asked me about how I got started as a life coach. So let's do some serious business, and then we'll go back to the playtime now. So Keith asked me, no, that's not it. What does your spouse do that tears your nerves up? We are going to talk about that. So Keith asked...
It's not just one thing, Keith.
That wasn't what Keith asked. That's my question to you. Okay. But Keith asked me, he said, what is it? I wrote it down.
Oh, so nobody asked that question. You just
No, I added that question. Keith, I thought I wrote the question down. Can you ask it to me again? But it was about couples. Yeah, drop it in here real quick so I can address it. So I'll go back to the person who asked me, to T. Terrell, that asked me about how I got started as a life coach. So how I got started as a Christian life coach, just to clarify, is that I was always that person, and you probably are too if you're considering being a life coach or are a life coach, that people told all of their business to. Like, people will always avail themselves and tell me everything. When I worked in banking, I used to do loans and things like that, and the customer would come in and fill out the loan application and literally would end up telling me their whole entire life, and we would never even get to the application until like an hour later. Even when I worked in healthcare, and I worked in, of course, a mental health contractor, but I wasn't doing counseling. I was working with soldiers running a program on Fort Bragg. People always would just tell me their stuff. And so God took me through a lot of experiences, been through a divorce, been through a domestic violence situation in marriage, been through suicide, depression, terrible relationships, poor choices, all that, you name it. So God took what my pastor called hard knocks theology, and he was like, I'm going to use you to minister to others. I thought I was going to be a consultant. But what God had me do, T. Terrell, is I wrote a book called Superb Woman from Bad Girl to God's Girl. And at the same time, I had started a business consulting practice because, again, I thought I would consult people. I wanted to be a consultant, but it was that was moving me into coaching. I just didn't know. So I wrote the book, God ended up connecting me with a mentor who was a coach, and she was also a licensed counseling social worker. And she said that he led her to mentor me, and that my book was going to be a life coaching tool. And she said, I'm going to work with you for a year, and we're going to take 8 chapters out of that book and make it into a life coaching program, which we did. It was my first coaching program 10 years ago, and it was called 8 Weeks to Superb, Journey to Excellence. And it was utilizing my book. My book is called Superb Woman, From Bad Girl to God's Girl, and it is a journey, a workbook, and a devotional that women take to go from where they are to where God has called them to. And it's awesome. You can see it and read an excerpt from it, or purchase it if you know some women in your life that could benefit from it on my website, www.drpatricecarter.com. So anyway, she helped me. Shout out to Angela, Dr. Angela. She helped me to develop that life coaching program. And I just started sharing that with people when they said, hey, what are you doing? What have you been up to? What do you have going on? Or I would meet people at networking events, and they would say, what do you do? I didn't tell them I worked on Fort Bragg, because I knew I wanted to ultimately be an entrepreneur. So I started letting that be part of my narrative. Well, I'm a Christian life coach, and I'm an author. So I started sharing that, and a young woman came up to me and said, do you ever do any group coaching? And I was like, absolutely. So Stacy Washington, shout out to her. She let me set up in her spa on Sundays with a group of women, and in my coaching, they each bought the book, or they paid for the coaching, and part of their coaching package was the book. So we used the book and those 8 chapters as a coaching tool, and that's how I got started. I know that was kind of a roundabout story, so I hope that answered your question. But I literally just God took all of my life experiences and brought them together. So I would suggest that you think about the pattern in your life and the lessons that you've learned, and just the repeating themes of places that you're healed from, and that will be your pattern of how you coach and how you can start coaching. And I'll let you know that you don't have to be certified, because I do certify and train Christian life coaches through my company, Breakpoint Coaching. But I didn't initially have a certification. I just started. And I prayed and said, God, do I need to be certified? And he said, not yet. So I was about 7 to 8 years in before I got certified. And now for the last 2.5 years, I've become a trainer where I certify and train Christian life coaches while also still doing private coaching. So if you have other questions about that, just DM me, or I'll do some lives about it too, specifically geared towards life coaching. So let's see. Tips for a Diva said, yes, praise God. Need to be more people like that, truthful. We do. We just need to own our truth and stand in it. If it's something I repented from, it's under the blood. I'm moving on. You said that would be me for sure, my life story. Okay, here's Keith's question. He said, what is one of the most important pieces of advice you would give to individuals who are considering marriage? Well, several things. One thing, know that Dalton and I have been married 10 years as of March 1st. Yay! Cue the confetti. And we only dated 5 months before we got married. But it was very important to us to maintain the beauty of holiness and to put God first. And so those are 2 things I would share, is maintain the beauty of holiness, meaning that we didn't want to have sex before marriage. And even if that's something that has already transpired in the relationship, or in relationships of those of you listening or who will listen later, that's okay, because you can always go back and reset the ground. And what I mean by that is just repent, fast, pray, and get back on track with that. Because one of the most important things as it relates to holiness and being married and being with someone that you're considering married, as a man, your job is always to cover and protect, and to pray and to seek God for her and for your marriage, and to be a covering. So a covering protects. So you don't ever want to do anything that would defile that person, and vice versa. You're in that dating relationship, you're still my brother in Christ, and I'm still your sister in Christ. So we want to protect each other, but also be in position. So if you look at Proverbs 31, she had all these lists of things that she was doing, but the husband was in the gate with the elders, because men are supposed to be positioned. So I would say the third thing is position yourself in the space of God, in the gate, and because anything that will come through the gate comes into the camp. So if you're, as a man, allowing depression, allowing attacks, allowing poor financial management or things like that, that's going to affect the family, that's going to affect the wife. So also the gate is positioned in the presence of God, because the Bible says that we enter into his gates with thanksgiving. That's the gate of Jesus, the gate of salvation. Jesus is the gate. Seeking Jesus and we enter his courts with praise, so we go into the presence of God. So a man should always be seeking God's face, seeking God's presence, and seeking God's wisdom for how to manage the relationship and how to prepare for marriage and how best to love her. So speaking words of life and affirmation over her. So Dalton had given me, he stuck this sticker in my Bible one day, and it was the sweetest thing. And it said, it was a surprise. Like, I didn't know he put it there until I opened my Bible, and it said, I'll show it to you, but I'll just,
I can't see it back.
I know it's backwards on your screen. I just wanted to show you the sticky note with a little strawberry sticker. It says, your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Psalm 128:3. So as a man of God, as a man who's considering marriage, speak in the word of God, because Ephesians 6 says that you should, a husband should give his life for her and water her with the word, to paraphrase. So speak in the word of God. So oftentimes it's easy for us to point out the negative in each other. That's obvious. All of our negative faults are obvious, but speaking life and speaking those things that we want to see to come to pass. So I think it's important that you be positioned. I think it's important that you be holy. I think it's important that you be prayerful and that you be in agreement. So when Dalton and I were dating, we watched this study by Pastor Andy Thompson at World Overcomers Church, the pastor of World Overcomers Church in Durham, North Carolina. Hey, Thrift Pop, thanks for joining. And he has a series, or had a series at that time, called Sex in the Summer. And what it was that he gave the single men on his ministry team a mandate. And he said, if you're going to serve with me and be in ministry with me, you have to be holy. And if you're dating, you need to be married. Because he said he would meet so many people that said, well, we're getting married 2 years from now. He's like, nobody can be holy for 2 years, you know. He was like, or you're not being serious. Like he said, it doesn't take long to know you want to be with someone and marry someone. And if you're serious, you want to make it right. So he said, but before, he didn't want them to just run out and start getting married. He wanted to give them godly wisdom for what they should be doing. And he taught on 7 areas that you should agree on, 7, before you say I do. So Dalton and I watched that series together. It was an 8-week series or 7-week series. We would watch this 1 hour, and we will watch 1 hour a week and discuss it. And so some of the areas that you need to agree on before you say I do are money, parenting, finances, sex, and I can't remember the other 3. It's SMIRK is the acronym. So say again.
Eyes and tangibles.
Okay, eyes and tangibles. I don't remember what that means, but SMIRK is the acronym. But anyway, the whole point was to have these open dialogues about those issues, because if you don't have agreement on those issues, sex, money, children, finances, those are the 7 things that could tear a marriage apart. And typically people aren't discussing those things in advance. And then when it comes up, now we have issues in the marriage. So doing some studying together, some soul searching, and talking about the intangibles and the things that are important to you both. So I hope that helps. Does that help? If not, you know, we have a relationship, so you can always ask me more questions. Okay, so let's see. So let me get back to something else I want to share. How did I go from part-time to full-time work? Because I left my full-time job 10 years ago to become a full-time Christian life coach and to start a multimedia company with Dalton the following year. And so awesome. T. Terrell says great. He says I love it. Love you guys too. Thank you. So I left my full-time job. I started transitioning somewhat before I left, but not fully. So I was one of those people where God was like, okay, you're cut loose, you can go. And I just had to figure it out and swim out into the deep and drown a couple times and get back in the boat and walk again. And that's what entrepreneurship feels like. But how you can begin to prepare yourself if you are working full-time and you want to go into, you're working full-time for the man and you want to go into full-time entrepreneurship, then how you do that is you start building your business when you get off work, on the weekends, taking time off. So to give you an example, I was also a speaker. So in speaking, I would do speaking engagements on the weekends, and I would take time off to go to speaking engagements, or I would take time off to go to training education to hone my craft. I also would work late hours on my craft at home, after hours, and on the weekends. So, and during holidays. So you can do it and build it simultaneously. Attending classes after hours at organizations that do free business classes, like the community college has a small business center where they have free classes and continuing education. So taking those classes in the evening, that will help with your business. Going to networking events, building your website. So all that can be done while you're working full time. So that's how I transitioned. And then ultimately, I just took a leap of faith when I heard the Lord say jump, if that makes sense. And Dalton was in agreement. So that's how I did that. So Dalton asked me, he said, why do I love journals so much? So I love journals. If I could show you guys, like, this box is to my left. I have like a canvas type box, it's almost like a drawer. And I have books and journals and things like that. Oh, let's share the question. Thank you, Dalton. You're so wonderful. What's up with my love for journals? I just love, like, introspection. I'm very much a thinker. I love knowledge. I just love thoughts, so I don't know how to explain it, but I'm definitely a wordsmith. I'm a writer. I just always have this random streams of consciousness in my head. So I just love journals. I'm also a dreamer and a seer, a prophetic seer. So I want a place to write the dreams that I literally have from God so that I can have a place to store them and concentrate on them. But I also love to-do lists. I'm total A-type personality. I love tasks and marking tasks off. So I love journals for that. I love visual. Things are visually, I like visual appealing, things that are visually appealing and cute. So girly things like that. I'm not real girly, but I do like girly things. So like just cute journals. I just love paper. So I love stickers. I'm all about some stickers. So you can see that through my thing. So I think it just came from my grandmother, May Forney, who's passed on, but she gave us a love for books. And I believe that my love for journals stems from my love for books and reading. So that's how I got that. Stacy asked, what is the proudest moment of your life? One of the proudest moments of my life was my PhD. And Chris says, I love journals too. Yes, it's a thing. Terrell says, do you mind sharing your vegan journey? I will do that. My sister gave me that as an option, so I will share that in just a moment. Tips for Diva, thank you for sharing that. We did talk about some of those, not all of them. We did go through marriage counseling, but what we wrote were 3 to 6 words that we worked on during our time of counseling. I like that. And Chris says, I love journals, and Amanda says, I love writing my thoughts down. I do too. But I'm not faithful to a journal. Like, I love how I see some people, and they journal like every day of their life. I'm very sporadic. So the reason Dalton asked that is because I'll have journals that I've stopped and started, and I'll be buying other journals. And I tell him to mind his own spiritual business. Okay, don't be in my business. Just kidding. So Stacy said, what is the proudest moment of my life? And I'll tell you, it was my completion of my PhD, because I started the PhD when I was married previously. And it was a competitive thing, because my ex-husband, when I married him, he didn't have a degree. He was working, I think, on an associate's degree, and I already had a bachelor's and was talking about working on a master's. So I started a master's, and he was like, well, I'm going to start. He might have had a bachelor's, but he was like, I'm going to do a master's. I'm going to catch up with you. So thanks, Chris. He said she's the best coach. Thank you. So he said, I'm going to get a master's. And I was like, okay. So then he started his master's. I had completed one, and I started another. So I have a bachelor's in business administration management. I have a master's in healthcare administration, and I have an MBA. So then he said, well, I'm going to get a PhD. So I said, well, I'm going to get a PhD too. Just stupid. It's so stupid. So anyway, I started the PhD program in around 2000. And shout out to Capella University, my alma mater. I love myself some Capella. So I started at Capella University in the School of Business and Technology, pursuing a PhD in organization and management with a focus on leadership. So I completed my PhD in 2006. And what happened was, everywhere I went, my PhD went. So if I was on vacation, I was writing papers. If I was at work and I had downtime, I was doing research. I would go to, they would have these residencies where you would go to Virginia and other states and work with your colleagues and meet your instructors and meet your cohorts and all that. And it was just such a wonderful experience. But the day that the day I got laid off from my job, I was working for TRICARE. I was concerned that, okay, what am I going to do? I need to finish my PhD now, and I need to look for work. Well, they gave me a full severance package for a year. So I was literally able to go home and for a whole year with full pay and benefits and write my dissertation. And so I was given a wonderful, wonderful academic PhD candidate advisor, Dr. John Whitlock. Shout out to him. I love him. And he walked me through that whole process, picked my committee for me. And the day they conferred my degree, I defended it online by phone. And God had prepared me for that moment. And they referred to me as Dr. Stewart, because I was not married to Dalton at that time, Dr. Patrice Stewart. And they welcomed me into the fold as an academician. And so that was like my proudest moment. I didn't attend graduation because it was in Florida, and at the time I just felt like I didn't have the money I should have. But it was such a moment of completion. Like, one thing about me is I'm a finisher. Like, I want to start what I finish. So just to be able to finish and have that under my belt is just amazing. And I'm the only PhD in my family, so just to be able to, raise the bar for my family and do that was awesome. Okay, so do I mind sharing my vegan journey? So I went vegan about 3.5 years ago, and so, okay, trying not to preach because I was like, he's behind me making oatmeal in the kitchen. But the way it happened was I've been studying veganism, vegetarianism, and all that for the last 12 years, or 13 years now. So it's something I've always been interested in, and had tried a couple times and stopped and started because it was just too rigid. But I would pray and ask God, help me to, master it. Thank you, Amanda. She said, proud of you, girl. Thank you. So I started with this book called Becoming Vegan. So I would suggest that you get that, Becoming Vegan. And then I bought a vegan cookbook. Dalton, what's the name of that vegan cookbook right there? It's yellow. Vegan with a Vengeance. That was my first vegan cookbook that I bought because she had very, very, very easy recipes. But now there's so many vegans and vegan cooking channels and all that on YouTube till it's too easy. But I read about on becoming vegan so that I could understand what I needed to know as far as supplements and all that stuff. So 3 years ago, I felt that, again, this sounds really over the top, but it's true. It's how I operate. I felt like God said to me, okay, it's time for you to give up meat and go fully plant-based. So I did that. Well, it was so much easier this time because I felt like I had the backing of the Holy Spirit. I had the grace of God to go forward in it. But one of the things that he shared with me about it was that it wouldn't just be for me health-wise. It would be a lifestyle of consecration, in consecrating, setting aside how I eat so that I could be holy and fit for duty in a deeper way spiritually. So this isn't for everybody, is what he was saying to me. And because of how he began to use me to minister in the lives of people, he wanted me to be completely clean, if you will, and holy in that way. So I didn't go vegan because of my love for animals, which I do love animals. So it wasn't like an ethical type thing or a physical thing like weight loss, which is a part of that. But it was really about obeying what I felt God telling me to do. And it was for the purpose of, I feel, ministry, and then of course healing and health. So I started out again by doing research, and I continue to do research, and now I'm writing a book called The Prophet's Diet. And The Prophet's Diet will talk about that transition of how you step down, how you can go cold turkey into veganism, or you can step down. So I stepped down, allow me to enunciate, from being, I went pescatarian, which is where you just eat fish, to flexitarian, which is, where you do eggs and dairy and that type of thing, to vegetarian, to vegan. So that's a way that you can kind of phase yourself into veganism and remove certain items and substitute certain items. And then the other thing a lot of vegans will tell you to do is maybe have meatless Mondays, where you just do beans, rice and beans, things like that, and start just substituting, and you'll find what works for you. So I hope that answers your question. If you have other questions, you can just let me know. So I think this is getting on here, but they'll start giving me a countdown shortly. So is this guys fun? Would you are you guys, is this guy's fun? Are you guys having fun? It says, thank you for sharing. I'm beginning my vegan journey now and I feel so much better. It's a really great journey. I love it. So definitely connect with me and I'll share resources and things like that. Renee Carson, thank you so much for joining. Shout out to you. So guys, has this been fun? Like, should I do more live videos like this? If it is, give me a thumbs up. So okay, this is my question. Okay, what does your spouse do that tears your nerves up, your whole nerves, like the last nerve that's like right here nerve?
Bootleg made up question.
Dalton said, he said it's an old bootleg made up question. Yeah, nobody asked me. I'm telling you. Okay, I wish you guys could see his
Nobody
face.
wants to know that.
Dalton, can you guys hear him? He said nobody wants to know that. I want you guys to know. I need you to know. I want Dalton and I, we're going to do a video together one day live. When I tell you that he is one of the funniest people that I ever met in my life, he is side splitting. But okay, so things that he does that get on my nerves. So he's always trying to manage me, and we've already covered that previously. That I say it with me. Say it with me. He's always trying to manage me. So what did I say earlier? Somebody say it with me. Let me see if you were listening. I'll give you a moment. I'll see if anybody says it. Okay, so that's one. Two is he doesn't like to sleep at night. Sometimes he struggles to sleep, so pray for my sweetie puff. Yes, don't manage me in all caps, Stacy. High five to you. You got it.
It would be Stacy that remembers that.
He said, Stacy, he said it would be Stacy that remembers that. But okay, so T. Terrell says, yes, great couple video would be great. I don't need to be managed. There you go, T. Terrell. You got it. And we will do a couples video. He is hilarious. Tips for Diva, perfect. I don't need managing. But you got to say it with attitude and get close to the camera. I don't need management.
Well, all the women
I don't need management.
on that one.
It's not just the women. The men said it too.
Okay.
Keith's holding back. He's not married yet. He's got to wait.
Well, you got some brothers
Amanda
out there,
said,
man.
oh gosh, you just want one. Girl, I could go on. Oh, that's hilarious. She said, I could go on. She was like, you just want one. Let's see, Coach Chris says, tell him we all remember. That's hilarious. So he loves to smack when he eats. He's so precious. He's like, well, in some countries, that's like a compliment. Like, I think in Asian countries. He said he needs to go to the Mekong Delta. You need to go somewhere out of here without us smacking. He could do a mukbang all by himself. Has anybody ever heard of a mukbang? A mukbang, M-U-K-B-A-N-G, is a Korean thing. It is a whole thing. There's like a whole subculture on YouTube of people doing mukbangs where basically they're eating, smacking, crunching, chewing. Oh my God, my nerves are tore up just saying it out loud. Stacy says in Japan it's a compliment. It's not in 1850. It's not here.
I don't smack if the food is not good.
Stacy, he says, I don't smack if the food's not good. Okay, so tips for Diva, you have not heard of it. She said they get offended if you don't slurp. With Dalton, honey, they would give you a crown. They would ride this dude around on the top of cars and throw flowers and confetti at his They would give a parade in honor of him. Okay, so T. Terrell, I don't either. He says, he or she, T. Terrell, tell me your first name. It says, I do not like mukbang vids. They tear my whole everything up. It's nerve-wracking. So you guys go watch it. You need to experience it once, okay? What else do I want to share? We talked about major irritants. Don't do that. Oh, our most embarrassing moment dating. Tammy. Okay, Tammy's a girl. Tammy, love it. Do we have a most embarrassing moment when dating? Oh my gosh. So you guys might not believe this about me. You better not believe it. I bet Keith would believe it, but whatever. Angela P. Lee, thank you so much for joining. So there was a time, and still ongoing, but not as much of a struggle day by day, praise the Lord, that my mouth was not all the way clean. And that's important because I am the Reverend Right Doctor. Okay, moment of silence. And God is just constantly dealing with me about, just staying holy, cleaning my mouth, because I prophesy. I'm a prophet, so it's like we have to be holy in our speech. Well, Dalton and I were dating, still walking through my consecration, and I shared this joke with him, and I said, he said, hey, buddy, well, my dad is a Marine, so I get it from my dad. and my mom loved them, bless them, Guy Stewart. And Daddy had this saying, Buddy runs rabbits in the woods. Okay, so he added a curse word in there. So yes, taming the tongue is a constant thing. So Dalton said, hey, Buddy. And I said, Buddy runs rabbits in the woods. And he was like, what'd you say? So I was laughing and I repeated it, not picking up on the social cues that he was not pleased with what I said, okay? And my sister, to this day, she like stopped breathing. She was gasping for air. She was laughing so hard. And he was like, did you just curse? Like, what? So to this day, she still makes a joke about it. And then the next one was, there was one service where I was preaching, or not preaching, but teaching and ministering. And I talked about, I used to have this saying, like, you know, when people take advantage of you, they have this saying where, like, you know, they just bend you over the fence. And Dalton was like, oh my God, you just said that across the pulpit. Like, can you hand me my phone cord? My phone's gonna die, please. And he was like, did you just say that upstairs? Or if you want to give me that one, I don't know if it'll, okay. He said, did you just say that across the pulpit? So guys, I seriously, like, have worked to cleanse this. It's not even your mouth, because it says out of the mouth the heart speaks. So I'm constantly like, God, purify this heart, Jesus. So those were like my most embarrassing moments. I mean, that they're too numerous to even recount. I'm 50. I have like journals of these things, but that was my most embarrassing moment of us dating. So let's see. Keith said, I believe it, whatever. Tips for Diva, taming the tongue, yes, exclamation. And Sharon says, Dr. P, you are lit today. You're hilarious. Here, let's, how should we do this? So, guys, I'm going to have to shift really quickly. I can go over there and sit up at the table because my battery's going to die. That means I've talked too much. So, we're going to wrap this up here shortly. Let's see. Amanda says, I know, right? Love it. And then I think somebody else said further back, I think this is a different side of you. Let me see what they said. No, I'm going to sit right here at the table. I think they said basically, yes, different side of you, that you guys get to see a different side of me. Because I'm telling you, I cut up all the time. And so I'm not being myself. It's just that, you know, if you're all the time playing and joking, people won't take you seriously. And I need y'all to take me seriously because this ain't no game, okay? Just kidding. But yeah, so I want you guys to know too, like I do, that I can be different ways. So yeah, okay. So this is kind of weird lighting because the light's showing. So I'm gonna turn it this way so you can see me. Cute. Okay, so I think just one more question and then we'll wrap up because Coach Christina had asked me something that I want to address. Coach Chris, are you still here? And if not, then I'll share the video, Straight Talk with Chris. See if you're still here. But she had asked me, Stacy, you said you're so surprised about what, my mouth and me needing to work on it. Tony says, OMG, Patrice, you have been depriving folks of this, Patrice. That's hilarious. But I'm like this when we're together, Tony, so this isn't new. But yeah, sometimes, you know, I don't do it on purpose, but when I'm on social media, typically I'm being about business. So I'm trying to share about coaching and coach training, all that stuff. So yeah, but I'll do more like these because I just do want people to understand that I have a lighter side. And it's not all like casting out demons and being serious. No. So thank you so much for loving my hair. I had it blown out recently about 2 weeks ago. So I'm still trying to hold on because y'all know black hair, power to the people. Ungawa is trying to shrink up. So Tony says, I know, that's why I feel bad for them. I know. Hilarious. Okay, so Coach Chris is still here. She says, and thank you all of you for joining me today and hanging on. This has been awesome. She says, as a woman in business, how have I managed to build a business and still be active as a wife and mom? Very, very carefully. I think it's just again, day by day thing. Is where you're constantly tweaking it because there was a season where when I got married, I felt like I lost myself because I started just being all about the marriage. Okay, bye, Tony. Love you. Keep me posted on how things are going with the job search. You know, just really got into the marriage and, you know, taking care of Dalton and Mouse that I really just kind of put some things to the side for myself that I would normally have been doing. And it wasn't because anybody required that of me or Dalton required that of me. But I kind of stopped hanging out with girlfriends and just really got focused on being married. But part of that came because I said to God, if you bless me with another husband, you know, just the true love of my life, which is Dalton, that I'll honor it and I'll be a great wife. And so I just kind of went all into that, but stopped just doing the things that brought me joy, like working out, going out with girlfriends, not to turn up, but, you know, just really taking that time for self-care. So then when I realized it, I had to really struggle and push and press and pull myself back into that place of, you know, getting back to me. But it came with having discussions too with Dalton and giving, more importantly, I didn't need his permission because he was never doing that to me. I had to give myself permission. So I think if I could give you one thing, is to give yourself permission to take care of you. Because they tell you, which you've heard this before, that when you're on the plane, they tell you put your mask on and then put if you have a baby or you're traveling with someone, put their mask on. Me and Dalton are both prior military. Some of you guys may be prior military. That they tell you if there's a nuclear attack, some type of chemical, biological warfare, you put your mask on and then you put your buddy's mask on, because you can't help anybody if you're dead. So self-care had to become and is still very much a priority for me. And I have to not feel guilty about that. But again, I shared that if a guilt feeling or something like that comes up, let it come up and process. Don't internalize it, because guilt and condemnation is not of God. And how I've juggled that is I've set a standard in the sense of what I expect from myself and what others can expect from me. And I'm not trying to be everything to everybody. So even for Dalton, he's got to take care of him as well as, you know, yes, I'll take care of him. I'm a good wife. I do take care of him. But he's also responsible for himself as well. And there are things that we need to partner on. So where in your life can people help you partner or partner with to carry the load? The other thing is I set a schedule. I don't always stick to it. Like today I woke up at 10, 11. And sometimes I feel guilty about that because I'm like, what a slacker. Like, people been at work since like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And I said that to Dalton, like, I feel kind of guilty getting up so late sometimes. He was like, yeah, but you just went out of town back to back and set up to do coaching and, you know, have been on the road. So, like, we're always working. When you're an entrepreneur, you're always working. So setting boundaries around that, not always working, having a schedule. And when you get off, just get back on track. No reason to beat yourself up, extending grace to yourself. Yes, Tammy says, fill yourself up because there's nothing to give from an empty vessel. True. And then the other thing is just doing sweet things for myself, saying sweet things to myself, eating my favorite dessert. I love chocolate. I love anything chocolate. Did I say chocolate? Chocolate, I love you. So just doing sweet things, taking yourself to a movie, and again, just having boundaries. So I put boundaries around, I feel at one point I was like the keeper of the keys to the universe, literally, for everybody. Mom this, hun that, babe, what do you think about this? Like, it was like I had to answer and solve problems for everybody, and I was doing that also for a living. Like, it was just too much. So I started putting the onus back on people, just like I do in coaching with a client. It's their responsibility to figure out what their issue is and how to address it and solve it. So I hope that helps. Setting boundaries, having a schedule, and loving you. Dark chocolate, yes. And so I have 1 minute remaining, so I'm going to wrap up here so we don't get cut off. I just want to tell you guys that this has been so awesome and so much fun. So if there are other things that you would like for me to ask me, we'll do other Ask Me Anythings, but I want to share that I will be doing live coaching. So upcoming here on Instagram, I will begin to offer live coaching. So you will come live with me on video and we will have a coaching session. So I'll be putting that out in the next week or two. So if you want to be my live coaching client, you can do that. So Stacy says, this has been awesome. Amanda says, have a blessed day. You too. Yes, it has. It's been so fun. Tammy says, enjoyed you today. Thanks for sharing. Thank you guys for sharing. So keep in mind, I'm Dr. Patrice Carter. If you want to know more about me, follow me here on Instagram or check me out at www.drpatricecarter.com. I do pop-up coaching and mobile coaching, so I'll be doing that. But starting next, our next move is to do live coaching here on Instagram. So if you want to coach with me, send me a DM. God bless you guys. God bless you, Sharon. Chris, I enjoyed your day too. Love you, sister. Love you guys. Bye, Keith. And I'll talk to you soon. You want to say bye, dog? He said no. Okay. Bye, guys. God bless you. Love you. Mwah.